One-shot videos have become very popular among students nowadays. This is because they believe that one-shot videos help them understand a concept faster and this would help them perform better in exams. But the reality is, if they don't use them correctly, they can spoil their success. Watch this video before you watch a next one-shot. After watching one-shot videos, you feel everything is clear. You feel that you have understood the concept. The teacher actually explains it smoothly. The logic makes more sense. You feel like you finally get the topic. But the next morning, when you sit with a question, you feel that you cannot solve the problem. Why does this happen? This is because you feel like you understood the topic, but when you try to use it, you cannot. This is not a failure in your effort, it's a well known phenomenon called the illusion of competence. Your brain mistakes the familiarity for mastery. You didn't learn the concept, you simply watched someone else demonstrate their mastery. The content you received reached the posterior region of the brain. This area is responsible for basic comprehension and it is responsible for lower order thinking. The content does not move to the prefrontal cortex. This area helps in analyzing, synthesizing, and evaluating the received content and helps you use the content in different situations. When you solve complex questions, this area must be actively engaged. But by watching one-shot videos, you primarily engage posterior region of the brain. Engaging the posterior region is a low-level function. It's like seeing a face in a crowd. It's passive. Production or solving a problem is a high-level function. When you watch a video, you are practicing recognition. When you take an exam, you are required to perform production. This is why you feel confident while watching, but you feel lost when you are asked to perform. Actually, when you are watching one-shot videos, your working memory is engaged in a passive way. It is busy following the explanation given by the teacher, but not actively manipulating or integrating the information that you received from the teacher. Because the input is fast, the system gets overloaded, and when working memory is overloaded without active processing, learning becomes shallow. Imagine you are watching a one-shot video on a physics problem. The teacher solves a problem step by step. And the teacher is substituting values, applies the formula, and arrives at a solution. While watching, everything feels clear for you. You follow every step. At that moment, your working memory is engaged but not actively. It's tracking teacher's explanation but not manipulating the information on its own. Only when you manipulate the received information, and that will be converted into your own, and you can easily retrieve the information when it is necessary. But here what you are doing, you are passively receiving the information. You are not predicting the next step. You are not retrieving the formula. You are not generating the solution. Your working memory is active but in a passive mode. It is following teacher's lecture but not thinking. You are tracking the ideas but not generating ideas. The next day, when you face a similar problem, your mind goes blank because your brain never learned to generate the solution. It only learned to recognize ideas. Now consider what most of the students do when they watch one short video. They jump between one YouTube teacher to another. They get exposure to different styles, different shortcuts, and different explanation. Each new format adds extra mental processing. Instead of understanding the concept, your brain is trying to adjust to the presentation. This creates unnecessary cognitive load. Your effort is spent on understanding different types of presentation instead of building understanding of concepts. Most one-shot videos are fast and dense, but your brain needs brief passes to organize, connect ideas, and store information. Without those passes, information keeps coming, but nothing settles. It's like trying to fill a narrow container with a high pressure stream. The input continues, But most of it doesn't stay. That's why you finish long session and still feel I watched everything, but I don't remember anything. The issue is not discipline, it's how the information is processed. Real learning actually begins when you shift from watching to actively engaging with the content. When you try to recall something without looking, and if you make an attempt to explain an idea in your own words, you activate the process that actually build learning. This is called active retrieval. It might feel harder initially, but that difficulty is not a problem. That difficulty is the process of building memory. But at the same time, you should know how to use one shot videos effectively. One shot videos are not meant for mastery, they are meant for orientation. They give you a high level summary of the topic. When you approach a topic for the first time, your brain lacks structure. Without that structure, learning feels confusing, and this confusion creates initial resistance because when the brain is clueless, it has to spend more energy on understanding the direction of the topic, and the brain naturally tries to avoid it. A one shot video solves this specific problem. It gives your brain a clear direction and boundary. And the brain prefers boundaries because boundaries reduce uncertainty and cognitive effort. So use one shot videos to understand the structure of the topic and not to master the topic. Here is where most students go wrong. They use one shot videos just before the exam for revision. This is a big mistake. Revision requires active retrieval. You must generate the answer from your own mind, but one shot videos do the opposite. They show you the teacher's solution. You are actually witnessing mastery, but you are not building it. And there is another problem. The way the teacher presents the topic is different from how your brain has stored the knowledge. So when you watch it again, this creates cognitive friction instead of giving you clarity. That's why one shot video should be used at the beginning of learning and not at the end. Mastery is not built just by exposure, it is built by effortful retrieval and integration of ideas and through spaced repetition. When you understand how your brain processes information, you stop working against it and start working with it. Stop being a spectator in someone else's learning. Start building your own. Thank you.